Violinist Andrew Wan is an extremely versatile and busy violinist. Equally at home as a soloist, chamber musician, and orchestral player, Andrew Wan has performed with such notable musicians as Emmanuel Ax, Marc-André Amelin, Peter Unjin, Vasily Petrenko, James Ennis, and the list goes on and on. Originally from Edmonton, Andrew holds 3 degrees from the Juilliard School and is currently the concertmaster of the Montreal Symphony Orchestra and is on the violin faculty at the Schulich School of Music at McGill University. He is also a regular chamber musician and soloist, performing with the OSM Chamber Players, and performs as a soloist throughout the world. Andrew is here in Winnipeg performing and teaching at the Rosamunde Academy and Festival, which is currently happening at Canadian Mennonite University. It's with great pleasure that I welcome Andrew Wan into our Classic 107 studios. Andrew, welcome here.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, that's nice. I first want to talk about the Academy. We're 2 days in. How has it been so far?
It's been a whirlwind. Actually, the way my schedule's worked out these last couple of days, I haven't done so much teaching. That's to come in the next couple of days. It's been a lot of rehearsing, and but the little bit of teaching I did yesterday, I can't remember if it's Core 1 or Core 2, but it's the younger group. It was so fun. They're super talented, super enthusiastic, and super talented. So it's been really nice. I can't wait to work with the other students.
That's great. When you work with young violinists, do you have something that you focus on first? Rhythm, sound, intonation, how they hold the bow? Like when you're seeing a violinist that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, it must vary from student to student, but is there one thing that really like sticks out for you that you really try to focus on right off the hop?
Not really. I mean, all those things that you listed are super important. Just in yesterday's masterclass, I heard 3 young violinists, and we just had enough time to focus on one element of performance for each one of them. So the first one, we talked about vibrato speed.
Oh, yeah.
That sort of thing, super important. And then the next student, we talked about, she was playing a movement of Bach, and we talked about Baroque dance and how that might come across in that movement she was playing, the Bach jig. And then finally, this last one, is a 10-year-old girl, incredibly talented. We talked about, bow divisions and how much bow you would use to kind of execute the phrase that she had in mind. So, I mean, it does vary from student to student. I don't have like a prescribed regimen, especially for just a one-off lesson, that sort of thing. Just kind of try to pinpoint the most obvious thing and then try to get results in that amount of time that we have.
Wow. Okay. The next question I have is sort of in 2 parts. I'm wondering if you can tell us about your teachers, both in Edmonton and at the Juilliard School.
Yeah. Well, I actually only had 2 teachers in Edmonton, really, that, and I still think about quite regularly, and I'm in touch with my very first violin teacher. I was with her for 12 years. Her name was Yoko Oiki Wong, and she was actually brought over by the Rolston family at the Banff Center in the 70s, and she was one of the first people to bring the Suzuki method to North America. So she trained directly with Dr. Suzuki, and so she was my teacher for 12 years and had an incredible influence on me. Before I went to Juilliard, I studied with the concertmaster of the Edmonton Symphony. His name was Martin Risley, and I know he performed in Winnipeg many times, and he is a New Zealander, and he was someone I looked up to quite a bit, and it was during this kind of very impressionable age where I just wanted to be him. I wanted to copy him and talk like him and walk like him and play like him. And then I had many teachers at Juilliard over a course of a few degrees. But those 2 teachers in Edmonton, during my formative years, were very important to my kind of development.
And then, so the second part of the question is, as a teacher yourself, do you focus, like from one of your previous teachers, do you try to be like them, or do you sort of mix in things that you've learned from all your teachers?
Yeah, I'm basically just regurgitating everything they told me. And, I have the benefit of, having had many teachers over the course of my education, and I'm still learning, and I'm learning to become a better teacher. And, it's amazing because I feel like I've become a better performer as a result of teaching. Needing to verbalize problem-solving skills and that sort of thing has made me address things that I've always needed to address in my own playing. But to answer your question, I really do feel like every one of my teachers, you can see their method and their approach in the way I address things. So I'm very much indebted to all of them.
Sort of a practice what you preach when, it comes to performing
Yeah,
yourself.
and it's a funny thing. A lot of teachers say this, as a joke, but sometimes it's true. A lot of my students will come to my performances, just by dint of the fact that I'm performing a lot in Montreal as a member of the orchestra. I say, do as I tell you, don't do as I do.
Right, yeah.
Because we all have our own bad habits.
Yeah. It sort of brings me to the next question. You are extremely busy, and this is something that always fascinates me. How do you manage to stay on top of everything that you do? What with prepping for orchestral performances, solo engagements, chamber music performances? How do you juggle not only the practice time, but also taking care of yourself, sleeping, traveling? How do you stay on top of that kind of thing? What's a day in the life of Andrew Wan like?
It can be insane. And, it's completely my doing. And, I don't think it's terribly unique for someone in my position to take too many things on. It's an artifact of being a music student. When you get offered a gig, you better take it, because you don't know if you're ever going to be asked again. And I have been out of school for a while, but I wonder sometimes if, the result of stupid scheduling is just this mentality that I'm trying to shake from being a student. But yeah, very much so. I'm starting to realize sometimes less is more, and I'm starting to cut out things that are less important to me in terms of my career. So the things that are important to me, obviously, are my job at the OSM. I have a string quartet, the new Orford String Quartet. I have a really nice collaboration with this fantastic pianist that we're going through and recording all of the Beethoven sonatas, Charles Richard Hamelin, and then teaching. So that's why I make time to come to a festival like this, because I very much believe in what you guys are doing here, and it's fun, especially when the weather's like this. And we're very much looking forward to going to Segovia for dinner tonight. Actually, a teacher once told me, in terms of taking gigs or engagements, you should fulfill 2 out of 3 criteria. And the first being, is it artistically interesting,
right,
or fulfilling? Second one, is the hang good? Are you enjoying your colleagues? And the third is the pay sufficient enough to, if those other 2 things are not. So if you're hitting 2 of those 3 things, then you're in good shape. So I need to remind myself of that.
So you're not only teaching at the Academy, at the Rosamunde Academy, you're also performing as part of the festival. Do you want to tell us about the pieces that you're performing in this weekend?
Yeah, I got a pretty full plate, but I am playing with some fantastic musicians, and it's been really fun, throwing these pieces together in a very short amount of time. So you check out their website. You can just Google Rosamunde Winnipeg Academy or something. And we do have 3 concerts over the course of the next 3 days. I think the focus is called Checkmates, so it's a lot of Czech composers. I myself am playing, the very first piece I'm playing is Beethoven's Spring Sonata with Leanne Regier, and that's really fun. Then tomorrow night we're also playing the Dvorak A Major Sextet, which is a beautiful, epic piece. And with a lot of fantastic faculty members. And then the next day, I'm playing Smetana's Trio, which is gargantuan, kind of gnarly work, but it's so much fun and hyper virtuosic. And then I'm finishing off the concert with Joseph Suk's Piano Quartet, which is Opus 1, number 1, and Opus 1 actually. And it's an incredibly ambitious, over romantic piece, and it's so much fun to play.
Oh, that's great. You alluded to it earlier. You're in the process of recording all of the Beethoven violin sonatas with Mr. Charles Richard Hamelin. The first volume's out on the Analecca label.
Yeah.
When is the second one? When's the second volume expected?
Okay, so we recorded 6, 7, 8, and everyone asks, why did you start with those sonatas? Many different reasons, in terms of timing, and in many ways, 6, 7, and 8. Even though they might be different, they are a little bit more obvious to us at this time because we performed them quite a bit. And this next CD, which we just recorded in May, is 1, 2, 3, and 5. Those early sonatas are not very varied, and they are very finicky and very delicate. And that's why we thought, we better get to know each other a lot more before we attack something like that. And of course, next year's last album for the set is 4, 9, 10, and those are huge.
Yeah, right.
Mammoth works. So this second volume is going to come out. I don't know. We haven't even started editing it yet. I haven't even thought about it. But I expect it to probably come out in the next few months.
So are you involved in, like, once it goes into the mixing in the studio, are you and Charles Richard going to be there?
Yeah, one might say I'm over-involved. I'm very, these pieces are obviously very important in the violinist and pianist repertoire, and I'm very aware of what's out there. And I think it was a really kind of bold and daring choice for us to decide to record it, and we're just so pleased at the reception we've gotten. And we very much believe in the process in which we embarked on this project, and we're very lucky that we have the support of, we got a Juno nomination, which was, we never would have could have prayed for that, and so we're really excited about that. And yeah, it's been a fun kind of endeavor, and
he's such a great pianist.
He is amazing. He's the best pianist I've ever worked with, but he's also incredibly humble, so that's really nice for me.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to wrap up the interview this way. What's next on the docket? Where are you going from here, and what are you doing?
So on Sunday, I'm going to La Jolla. That's going to be a long day. That's just outside San Diego, and there's a festival that used to be run by a former teacher of mine, Cho Liang Lin, or Jimmy Lin, who was a fantastic Taiwanese violinist. Mm-hmm. And now it's run by Inon Barnatan, who's this Israeli pianist, and I'm not doing any teaching there, I don't think. I'm just playing, and then afterwards I go to a festival on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington, and that's called the Olympic Music Festival, and I'm playing there as well. And wrap up the summer season.
So busy. It's a busy summer.
Oh, I screwed up. We just bought a house last week, so it's, trying to balance, dealing with that sort of thing and rehearsing, but it's fun. I'm only, this age once in my life.
And how old are you? I should mention that.
I'm 35.
Yeah. What, the youngest concertmaster ever hired by the OSM?
Yeah, I think, Jonathan Crow, who's in my quartet, he was concertmaster too at a very young age. But at the time when I got hired, I think we looked around and checked out every North American orchestra. And at the time, I was the youngest concertmaster of a major North American orchestra. And now I'm old. There's a lot younger concertmasters out there, so I should probably take that out of my bio.
That's great. Andrew, thanks so much for coming
Chris.
and talking to us today.
Please come to the shows. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. The concerts sound great. For any listeners out there, if you or somebody you know might be interested in attending the Rosamunde Festival concerts, which take place on Friday and Saturday at 7 and Sunday at 3 at Canadian Mennonite University's Laudamus Auditorium, or you want to come out and see the students of the Academy perform on the 21st, 22nd, or 23rd of August, you can go to rosamunde.ca for more information. Rosamunde is spelled Rosamund. Andrew, thanks again for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris.
We're going to leave the interview with Andrew playing some Beethoven. This is Andrew playing the first movement to Beethoven's 8th Violin Sonata, and he's joined by Charles Richard Amelin at the piano.